They are about to make you an offer, but before you get excited, you need to understand what kind of season you are entering. This offer may come as a door, a message, a position, a partnership, a contract, a relationship, or a sudden invitation that makes people stop and look at you differently. And yes, it may shock the ones who doubted you, but their shock is not the purpose. Your preparation is. You did not arrive here by accident. Something higher is interrupting the noise around you, because your spirit must be steady before your circumstances shift. They judged an unfinished version of you. They saw the seed buried and called it dead. They saw the foundation hidden and called it nothing. They saw your silence and assumed you had no power left. But what they did not see was the formation happening in secret. What they did not see was the discipline, the restraint, the healing, the private decisions, the nights you kept going with no applause. Now a door is moving, but not every offer is divine just because it is impressive. Some offers bless you, some offers test you, some offers flatter your wound. So before you say yes, you must learn how to receive with peace, discern with clarity, and walk forward without needing anyone's doubt to turn into applause. Because the offer is not just about what is coming to you, it is about what is being revealed through you. For a long time, people may have looked at your life and made assumptions. They saw the waiting and thought nothing was happening. They saw the closed doors and thought you had been rejected. They saw you stepping back and thought you were losing confidence. They saw you stop explaining yourself and thought you had no answer. But they were watching the outside of a process they did not understand. They did not see the private cost. They did not see the moments when you had to encourage yourself because nobody else knew how heavy it was. They did not see the nights when you wondered if you were crazy for still believing. They did not see the way you had to hold your own heart together while still moving with kindness. They did not see how many times you wanted to quit, but something inside you would not let you bow to disappointment. And this is why the offer matters. Not because it gives you value. You already had value. Not because it proves you were chosen. You were chosen before anybody understood you. Not because it makes your doubters small. That is not the work of your spirit. The offer matters because it is going to reveal what was being built while you were hidden. Stay with this until the end, because this is not just a message to make you feel excited for a moment. By the end, you will understand what this offer may look like, why it is arriving after a season of being underestimated, how to tell the difference between a true door and a beautiful distraction, why the people who doubted you may be shocked, and how to receive what is coming without fear, pride, or desperation. You will also understand why the greatest proof was never the offer itself, but the person you became before it arrived. So listen carefully. The people who doubted you did not always hate you. Some of them simply could not see you clearly. Some of them only knew the old version of you. Some of them only saw you when you were tired, confused, wounded, or still trying to understand your own calling. Some of them met you in the middle of a storm and decided that the storm was your identity. But a storm is not an identity. A delay is not a denial. A quiet season is not a wasted season. And being unseen by people does not mean you were unseen by the divine. There were people who thought your silence meant weakness. They did not know silence was teaching you not to waste sacred energy on unnecessary battles. There were people who thought your delay meant failure. They did not know delay was protecting you from entering rooms before your spirit was ready to hold the weight. There were people who thought your rejection meant you were not valuable. They did not know rejection was separating you from places that could not honor what you carried. And there were people who thought you were finished. But they were wrong. Not because you are better than them, not because you need to stand above them, not because your next season should be built on their regret. They were wrong because they judged a sacred process from a shallow distance. They looked at the ground and saw dirt. They did not understand that something had been planted. Chosen one, what is buried is not always dead. Sometimes it is protected. Sometimes it is covered because it is not ready to be touched. Sometimes it is hidden because the wrong hands would damage it before it becomes strong enough to rise. This is what happened with you. You were not simply waiting, you were being rooted. You were not simply alone, you were being separated from noise. You were not simply delayed, you were being strengthened in places that applause could never reach. And now, the offer that is coming is not arriving to create your identity. It is arriving to meet the identity that has already been formed. That is why you must not reduce this message to revenge. Do not picture yourself standing in front of your doubters, trying to make them feel foolish. Do not build your hope around their regret. Do not make their reaction the center of your breakthrough. That is too small for what is happening in you. If your only dream is for people to regret doubting you, then their doubt still owns part of your heart. But if your desire is to walk in peace, to receive what aligns with your calling, to use the next door with wisdom, and to become a blessing without becoming bitter, then you are stepping into something higher. This is where many people miss the meaning of the offer. They think the offer is the reward. They think the new position is the reward. They think the apology is the reward. They think the money is the reward. They think the invitation is the reward. They think the room finally opening is the reward. But those things are only evidence. The deeper reward is that you survived the season that was meant to make you forget who you were. The deeper reward is that you did not let rejection turn your heart cruel. The deeper reward is that you learned how to move without needing constant confirmation. The deeper reward is that you can now stand in front of an open door without begging it to define you. That is maturity. That is formation. That is quiet power. And this is why the offer may shock them, because they expected you to still be chasing. They expected you to still be explaining. They expected you to still be looking back for approval. They expected you to stay emotionally tied to the version of yourself they understood. But something has changed. You are not waiting for them to clap before you move. You are not waiting for them to apologize before you heal. You are not waiting for them to understand before you obey what has been placed in your spirit. You are not waiting for people who only recognized your pain to recognize your power. And that shift is sacred. Now, let me speak to the part of you that still feels tired. Because even when you know you are growing, it can still hurt to be doubted. It can still hurt when people speak about your life like they understand the whole story. It can still hurt when you know you are carrying something real, but the world around you keeps responding as if you are imagining it. It can still hurt when the ones you hoped would believe in you became the ones who questioned you the most. That pain is not weakness. That pain means you cared. It means you had a heart. It means you wanted connection, not performance. It means you wanted to be seen without having to prove your soul in a courtroom of opinions. But the season you are entering requires a different posture. You cannot carry the next offer with the same wound that made you beg for validation. You cannot enter the next door still asking old voices if you are allowed to walk through it. You cannot receive something sacred while trying to turn it into a weapon against people who doubted you. The divine does not elevate you so you can become cruel. The divine does not open doors so you can worship doors. The divine does not allow recognition so you can lose the humility that protected you when nobody was watching. The offer is coming with responsibility, and responsibility requires clarity. That is why this message is meeting you before the door fully opens. You are being prepared in the inner place before you are trusted with the outer movement. You are being asked to slow down long enough to ask a deeper question. Not just, what am I about to receive? But, who must I become to receive it well? Because there are offers that come to bless you. There are offers that come to test you. And there are offers that come to distract you from the path that was actually meant for you. Some doors look impressive, but they demand that you abandon your peace. Some opportunities look like elevation, but they pull you back into old patterns. Some invitations feel flattering, but they only speak to the wounded part of you that still wants to be chosen by people who once made you feel unwanted. That is why discernment is not optional in this season. When the offer comes, do not only ask, is this big? Ask, Is this aligned? Do not only ask, will this impress people? Ask, will this produce peace? Do not only ask, will this prove them wrong? Ask, will this help me become more faithful to what I am called to build? Because the right offer will not require you to betray your spirit in order to accept it. It may stretch you, it may challenge you, it may ask you to grow, it may bring responsibility that makes your hands tremble for a moment. But beneath the weight, there will be a kind of peace that your deeper self recognizes. Not comfort, peace. There is a difference. Comfort says, I want this because it is easy. Peace says, I may be stretched, but I know this is aligned. Comfort says, I do not want to be challenged. Peace says, I can feel the weight, but I am not being pulled away from who I am. Comfort says, let me stay where nothing asks me to grow. Peace says, this door is larger than me, but something within me was prepared for it. Chosen one, that is the kind of offer you must be ready for. And it may not arrive the way you expect. For some of you, it may come through a message you almost ignore. Someone may reach out with an idea, a proposal, a connection, or a conversation that seems small at first, but carries a doorway inside it. For some of you, it may come through your work. A skill you thought nobody noticed may suddenly become needed. A gift you practiced in silence may become the exact thing someone is looking for. A project that felt invisible may begin moving into the right eyes. For some of you, it may come through a relationship. Not always romance. Sometimes it is a mentor. Sometimes it is a helper. Sometimes it is someone who speaks your name in a room you could not enter by yourself. Sometimes it is a person who recognizes your value without needing you to perform for it. For some of you, it may come through restoration. A door that closed before may open again, but this time, you will not be the same person standing in front of it. The old you may have begged. The new you will discern. The old you may have accepted anything just to feel chosen. The new you will ask whether the door honors your calling. And for some of you, the offer will be spiritual before it is visible. You may feel a pull to build something, start something, release something, speak something, forgive something, or finally stop shrinking under the weight of old opinions. That inner invitation may be the first sign that the outer opportunity is near. This is important because the offer does not always begin with a contract. Sometimes it begins with a stirring. Sometimes it begins with a strange peace. Sometimes it begins with a conversation that will not leave your mind. Sometimes it begins with the sudden realization that you no longer want what you used to beg for. And that may be the most powerful sign of all. When your desire changes, your season is changing. When your tolerance changes, your season is changing. When your silence changes from fear into wisdom, your season is changing. When you stop needing people to understand every step, your season is changing. When you can bless people who doubted you without inviting them back into authority over your emotions, your season is changing. This is why the offer will shock everyone who doubted you. Because they expected your life to continue inside the limits of their opinion. They thought their doubt was a ceiling. They thought their rejection was a final answer. They thought their silence was enough to erase what was written in your spirit. But they were never the source. They were witnesses, not authors. They were voices, not verdicts. They were observers, not the one who called you. And when the right door opens, it will not ask their permission. But here is the part you must hold carefully. Just because they are shocked does not mean you must perform for them. Just because they doubted you does not mean you owe them a show. Just because they may finally recognize your value does not mean you must hand them access to the sacred parts of your life. Some people can witness the blessing without being invited into the inner room. Some people can see the fruit without being allowed to touch the root. Some people can hear about the offer without knowing the private instructions you received to carry it. That is not bitterness, that is wisdom. There is a kind of maturity that stops confusing visibility with vulnerability. You can be seen without being exposed. You can be recognized without becoming available to everyone. You can receive an offer without explaining every detail to people who did not honor your process. This next season will require that kind of maturity, because when an offer comes after a long period of being overlooked, the heart can become very sensitive. Part of you may want to tell everyone. Part of you may want to prove every point. Part of you may want to run back to the people who dismissed you and place the evidence in their hands. But before you do that, pause inside your spirit. Imagine the offer as a sealed envelope placed in your hands, not to show off, not to wave in front of doubters, not to use as proof that you mattered. Just hold it in your mind for a moment. Feel the weight of it. Let your spirit say, I do not need to rush this. I do not need to perform this. I do not need to turn this into revenge. If this is truly aligned, peace will stay with me as I walk. That is the posture. Not panic, not pride, not desperation. Peace. Because what is coming must be carried, not just received. And that is where the deeper truth begins. You may think the offer is the reward. You may think the door opening is the moment everything finally makes sense. You may think the shock on their faces will heal what their doubt did to you. You may think the recognition will erase the pain of being unseen, but it will not. Recognition can confirm what was built, but it cannot replace healing. An offer can open a door, but it cannot become your identity. Applause can feel good, but it cannot be the foundation of your peace. If you let the offer become your proof, you will live in fear of losing it. If you let the door become your worth, you will panic when the next door takes time to open. So the divine had to build something deeper in you first. Before the offer, there had to be formation. Before the recognition, there had to be identity. Before the invitation, there had to be capacity. Before the door opened, there had to be a version of you strong enough not to worship the door. That is why your hidden season mattered. That is why their doubt did not destroy you. That is why the silence was not empty. That is why the delay was not punishment. That is why the rejection did not get the final word. The offer is coming, but the offer is not the deepest reward. The deepest reward is the person you became when there was no offer on the table, no applause in the room, no proof in your hands, and no guarantee that anyone would ever understand. You kept becoming anyway, and that is what makes you ready. In the next part, you need to understand what was being formed in you while they doubted you, because they did not doubt the real you. They doubted the unfinished chapter. They doubted the version that was still being shaped, still being strengthened, still being stripped of fear, still being taught how to stand without applause. And once you see why that season had to happen, you will understand why the offer could not come earlier. You will understand why the door waited. You will understand why your silence was not a loss. And you will understand why the people who underestimated you are about to realize they were not watching your ending. They were only watching your preparation. And that is why they misunderstood you. They were not looking at the real you. They were looking at a version that was still being shaped. They were looking at the chapter where your roots were growing underground. They were looking at the season where the divine was stripping away the noise, the fear, the need for approval, the habit of proving, the old hunger to be accepted by people who could not even recognize what they were standing near. They doubted the unfinished chapter. They doubted the version of you that was still learning how to stand without applause. They doubted the version that still cried in private but showed up anyway. They doubted the version that still questioned the path but could not walk away from it. They doubted the version that still had wounds, still had uncertainty, still had moments of weakness, still had days when your faith felt thin and your strength felt borrowed. But they did not see the whole work. They did not see what was happening inside you while life looked quiet on the outside. They did not see the slow construction of patience. They did not see the discipline forming under pressure. They did not see how every disappointment was teaching you what not to attach your identity to. They did not see how every closed door was training you to stop worshipping access. They did not see how every season of being overlooked was breaking your addiction to being constantly validated. That is why the offer could not come earlier. If it had come when you were still desperate to be seen, you may have used it to prove a point instead of fulfill a purpose. If it had come when you still needed everyone to approve of you, you may have handed your peace to the wrong people. If it had come when your heart still confused attention with alignment, you may have accepted something that looked large but pulled you away from who you were becoming. So the delay was not empty. The delay was shaping your hands. The delay was strengthening your spine. The delay was cleaning your motives. The delay was teaching you how to receive without becoming proud, and how to be seen without becoming addicted to the eyes watching you. Chosen one. There is a version of you that could not carry the offer, not because you were bad, not because you were unworthy, not because the divine was withholding good things from you to punish you, but because the offer would have placed weight on places inside you that were still healing. A door can bless you, but a door can also crush you if you enter it with an unhealed identity. Recognition can feel beautiful, but it can also become a prison if you still need people to tell you who you are. Provision can relieve pressure, but it can also expose fear if you do not know how to hold increase with peace. An apology can feel like restoration, but it can also reopen an old wound if you are not grounded enough to discern whether the person has truly changed or whether your pain is just happy to be noticed. This is why you were not only waiting for the offer, you were being formed for it. The hidden place was not a mistake. The hidden place was a workshop. It was not glamorous. It was not easy. It did not always feel spiritual. Sometimes it felt boring. Sometimes it felt lonely. Sometimes it felt like you were being forgotten while others moved ahead. Sometimes it felt like everyone else had a door, a stage, a relationship, a platform, a connection, a breakthrough, and you were still standing in the same place, wondering what you were doing wrong. But there are things the divine builds in hidden places that cannot be built under bright lights. Patience is built when nothing moves as fast as you want it to move. Discernment is built when not every open door is safe. Humility is built when you have a gift but no audience. Strength is built when nobody rescues you from the weight, but you keep breathing under it. Wisdom is built when you stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and begin asking, "What is this forming in me?" That question changes everything, because the moment you stop seeing every delay as rejection, you start seeing the classroom hidden inside the season. You start realizing that the silence was teaching you to listen differently. The loneliness was teaching you to stop abandoning yourself. The rejection was teaching you that being unwanted in the wrong place is protection. The loss was teaching you what could not travel with you into the next room. And the doubt of others was teaching you something you could not learn any other way. It was teaching you to believe without witnesses. It was teaching you to move without applause. It was teaching you to keep your hands steady when people misunderstood your assignment. It was teaching you to stop placing sacred things before people who only wanted something to criticize. There were times when you wanted to explain yourself. You wanted to tell them that you were not lazy. You were healing. You were not lost. You were recalibrating. You were not weak. You were exhausted from carrying things they never saw. You were not falling behind. You were being rerouted. You were not giving up. You were learning how to move differently. But there are seasons when explaining becomes another form of begging. And you were being delivered from that. You were being delivered from the need to make everyone understand. You were being delivered from the habit of proving your pain was real. You were being delivered from the old pattern of defending your value to people who benefited from you, doubting it. You were being delivered from the belief that if you could just explain it perfectly, they would finally see you clearly. But some people do not misunderstand because the explanation is missing. Some people misunderstand because the version of you they prefer cannot survive the truth of who you are becoming. That is why silence became part of your training. Not bitter silence, not passive silence, not wounded silence that secretly waits for people to come chase you. Sacred silence, the kind of silence that protects what is still growing. The kind of silence that stops feeding unnecessary battles. The kind of silence that says, I do not have to announce every movement of my spirit. The kind of silence that says, I can let the fruit speak when the season is ready. And that is why the offer will shock them. Because while they thought you had nothing to say, you were becoming someone whose life would speak. While they thought you had no movement, you were being moved inwardly. While they thought you were standing still, your foundation was going deeper. While they thought you were losing, you were learning how to carry victory without needing to humiliate anyone. That last part matters, because the divine was not only preparing your gift, the divine was preparing your character. A gift can open a door, but character determines whether you can remain standing once you enter. A skill can bring attention, but character determines whether attention makes you stronger or smaller. A connection can bring access, but character determines whether access turns into purpose or performance. This is why some people receive what they prayed for and lose themselves inside it. They wanted the offer, but they never allowed the hidden season to form them. They wanted the platform, but not the humility. They wanted the relationship, but not the healing. They wanted the money, but not the discipline. They wanted the open door, but not the surrender required to walk through it with clean hands. But you have been through too much to waste this season on ego. You have been corrected in places no one saw. You have been humbled in rooms no one knew about. You have had to face yourself without an audience. You have had to look at your motives, your fears, your attachments, your wounds, your anger, your desire to be chosen, your pain around being overlooked, and still say, I want to become whole more than I want to look powerful. That is not small. That is sacred work. And sacred work often looks unimpressive before it becomes undeniable. Think about a foundation. Nobody celebrates the foundation while it is being dug. Nobody walks by an empty construction site and claps for the concrete being poured underground. People want to see height. They want to see glass. They want to see lights. They want to see the finished structure rise into the skyline. But if the foundation is weak, the height becomes dangerous. So the deeper the calling, the deeper the foundation must be. The heavier the assignment, the stronger the hidden structure must become. The greater the offer, the more stable your inner world must be before it arrives. That is why some seasons feel like you are going down instead of up. You thought elevation meant rising quickly, but sometimes elevation begins by being taken deeper, deeper into honesty, deeper into patience, deeper into surrender, deeper into self-control, deeper into the places where your identity can no longer depend on who claps, who leaves, who doubts, who returns, who approves, or who understands. This is the part they did not see. They saw the dirt. They did not see the foundation. They saw the waiting. They did not see the strengthening. They saw the quiet. They did not see the instruction. They saw the pain. They did not see the oil being pressed out of it. And because they did not see it, they misjudged it. But just because they misjudged it does not mean the season was meaningless. There is a kind of person who can only recognize fruit. They cannot honor seeds. They cannot honor soil. They cannot honor roots. They cannot honor winter. They cannot honor the quiet process that makes the harvest possible. They only understand a thing after it becomes visible enough to benefit from, admire, compare themselves to, or envy. But the divine does not wait for people to understand a seed before allowing it to grow. The seed grows anyway, under pressure, under darkness, under silence, under soil that looks like burial to people who do not understand becoming. Chosen one, you were not buried to be forgotten. You were planted to become rooted. And roots are private before fruit is public. This is why the doubt was allowed to touch the edges of your life, but not the center of your calling. Their doubt may have hurt you. Their words may have confused you. Their silence may have made you question yourself. Their lack of support may have made certain days heavier than they needed to be. But their doubt never had the authority to cancel what was written over you. It only revealed where your heart still wanted permission. It revealed where you still wanted people to agree before you obeyed. It revealed where you still wanted people to understand before you moved. It revealed where you still measured your calling by their comfort. It revealed where you still made their reaction too important. And that revelation was painful, but it was also mercy. Because you cannot carry a divine offer while still being controlled by human approval. You cannot step into a larger room while still needing the smaller room to validate you. You cannot receive the next assignment while still asking old opinions to define your worth. The doubt forced you to make a decision. Would you shrink so they could feel comfortable? Would you explain until your soul was tired? Would you abandon the calling because it did not make sense to people who were never assigned to carry it? Or would you let the misunderstanding refine you? Would you let the silence mature you? Would you let the rejection separate you? Would you let the waiting strengthen you? Would you let the pain teach you how to stop performing and start becoming? And even when you did not know it, you were choosing. Every day you did not quit, you were choosing. Every time you kept going without proof, you were choosing. Every time you refused to become bitter, you were choosing. Every time you stayed faithful in the quiet, you were choosing. Every time you protected your heart from turning cold, you were choosing. And those choices built something in you. Not all at once, not loudly, not in a way everyone could see, but slowly, deeply, faithfully, something was being formed. This is why the offer is arriving now, or moving toward you now, or stirring around you now. Because the offer is not coming to the version that begged to be chosen. It is coming to the version that learned how to stand even when nobody chose them publicly. The offer is not coming to the version that needed to impress doubters. It is coming to the version that learned how to be faithful without an audience. The offer is not coming to the version that confused visibility with value. It is coming to the version that found value in the hidden place. That is the difference. And once you understand that difference, you stop asking, why did it take so long? You begin to ask, what would have happened if it came too early? If the offer had come too early, you may have said yes to the wrong terms because you were tired of being unseen. If the offer had come too early, you may have let people attach themselves to your life simply because they finally acted interested. If the offer had come too early, you may have accepted pressure and called it opportunity. If the offer had come too early, you may have entered a room with a wounded need to prove yourself, and that room may have used that need against you. But now, you know better. You are learning to recognize the difference between being valued and being used. You are learning to recognize the difference between being invited and being tested. You are learning to recognize the difference between a door that honors your calling and a door that flatters your insecurity. You are learning to recognize the difference between a person who sees your value and a person who only sees your usefulness. This is formation, and it is not always comfortable, because formation will often remove what your wounded self still wants to keep. It will remove the need to chase. It will remove the need to over-explain. It will remove the need to be understood by everyone. It will remove the need to keep proving your heart to people who keep mishandling it. It will remove the need to accept small offers just because they come from familiar hands. It will remove the need to call every returning voice a sign. Sometimes a person returns because they have changed. Sometimes a person returns because your energy is no longer available and they can feel the loss of access. Sometimes a door opens because it is aligned. Sometimes a door opens because it wants to pull you back into a place you already outgrew. That is why your hidden season had to teach you discernment. And discernment often begins with pain. You learned what false peace feels like. You learned what pressure disguised as opportunity feels like. You learned what manipulation sounds like when it uses soft words. You learned what your body feels like around people who drain you. You learned what your spirit feels like when something looks good but feels wrong. You learned the difference between being stretched and being violated. You learned the difference between fear that comes from growth and fear that comes from warning. You learned the difference between a challenge that expands you and a burden that consumes you. These lessons were not random. They were part of the preparation, because the next offer will require you to listen deeper than your excitement. It will require you to ask better questions. It will require you to move slower than your old desperation. It will require you to let peace have a voice. It will require you to honor the wisdom you paid for through pain. And yes, that pain was expensive. There were moments that cost you a version of yourself. There were relationships that cost you innocence. There were disappointments that cost you illusions. There were betrayals that cost you trust. There were delays that cost you comfort. There were silent seasons that cost you the fantasy that everyone who loves you will understand your calling. But what you gained is not small. You gained depth. You gained discernment. You gained endurance. You gained a clearer sense of what is worth your yes and what is not worth your peace. This is what they could not see. They saw you lose people, but they did not see you gain yourself. They saw you become quiet, but they did not see you become clear. They saw you stop chasing, but they did not see you become free. They saw you walk away, but they did not see you finally stop abandoning your own spirit. And now, because you are different, the offer will feel different too. You will not receive it the way you would have received it before. The old you may have grabbed it quickly because you were afraid nothing else would come. The new you can hold it up to the light and ask whether it is truly aligned. The old you may have announced it too early because you needed people to believe something good was happening. The new you can protect the seed until it becomes stable. The old you may have used it to make people jealous. The new you can use it to build something meaningful. That is growth, not the kind people always clap for, but the kind that changes the atmosphere around your decisions. There is an old pattern in sacred stories, and it appears again and again. The person who is called is often misunderstood before they are recognized. The dream arrives before the position. The oil arrives before the throne. The assignment arrives before the audience. The promise is planted long before the proof becomes visible. Joseph had a dream before he had a palace, and his dream did not make his life easier at first. It made him misunderstood. It made him a target. It placed something inside him that others could not interpret correctly. His own brothers saw the dream and felt threatened by what they did not understand. They did not see a future being formed. They saw a reason to reject him. And for a long time, Joseph's life looked like the opposite of the dream. A pit, a false accusation, a prison, a hidden place, a season where the promise seemed impossible. But the hidden place did not cancel the dream. It trained him for it. He learned administration before the palace. He learned interpretation before authority. He learned restraint before power. He learned how to serve in the prison before he was trusted to lead in the kingdom. And when the moment finally came, the offer did not arrive because he chased recognition. It arrived because the gift inside him became necessary at the right time. That is important. The offer came when the gift became useful for something bigger than personal validation. And this is where your spirit needs to pay attention. Your gift is not only for proving people wrong. Your gift is not only for making your life look better. Your gift is not only for getting applause from the people who overlooked you. Your gift is connected to service, timing, responsibility, and assignment. The thing that made you feel different in one season may become the thing that makes you necessary in the next. The sensitivity that made you feel too much may help you discern what others miss. The creativity that made you seem unrealistic may become the very solution someone needs. The resilience that was built through rejection may become the strength that lets you lead without collapsing. The wisdom you gained through pain may become the medicine someone else receives through your life. This is why you cannot despise the path that formed you. You may not love everything that happened. You do not have to pretend every wound was good. You do not have to call betrayal beautiful. You do not have to say the pain did not hurt. Healing does not require lying about what cost you tears. But you can say this: it did not get the final word. The pit did not get the final word. The silence did not get the final word. The rejection did not get the final word. The people who doubted you did not get the final word. The divine was writing through seasons They did not know how to read. And now, when the offer begins to move toward you, it is not coming to rescue a helpless version of you. It is coming to reveal a formed version of you, a version with more discernment, a version with deeper roots, a version with cleaner motives, a version with less need to be chosen by the wrong people, a version with enough maturity to understand that elevation is not permission to become arrogant. Because true elevation does not make you cruel, it makes you clearer. It does not make you obsessed with proving. It makes you committed to building. It does not make you addicted to attention. It makes you faithful with responsibility. And still, even with all this growth, there may be a part of you that is afraid. You may be listening to this and feeling something move inside you, but also feeling a quiet fear underneath it. What if the offer comes and I am not ready? What if I step into the room and they discover I am not as strong as they think? What if I receive the opportunity and lose it? What if success changes my life too quickly? What if people start watching me? What if the very thing I prayed for asks more from me than I know how to carry? Chosen one, listen carefully. That fear does not mean you are unqualified. Sometimes fear appears because you understand the weight. People who have no awareness of responsibility often run into doors without reverence. They want the title, but not the burden. They want the recognition, but not the stewardship. They want the offer, but not the discipline that must follow it. But you are not afraid because you are weak. You are afraid because part of you knows this is not small. That kind of fear can become wisdom when you let it bow to peace. It can become preparation when you stop letting it control your imagination. It can become humility when you stop using it as a reason to hide. You do not need to pretend you feel nothing. You do not need to act fearless. You do not need to perform confidence before your heart has found steadiness. You only need to let the deeper voice in you speak louder than the old fear. The old fear says, "What if I fail?" The deeper voice says, "What if I have been prepared?" The old fear says, "What if they see me?" The deeper voice says, "What if visibility is part of the assignment?" The old fear says, "What if I am not enough?" The deeper voice says, "What if the hidden season built more in me than I can currently measure?" The old fear says, "What if they were right about me?" The deeper voice says, "They only saw the unfinished chapter." And that is the sentence you must carry with you. They only saw the unfinished chapter. They did not see the full formation. They did not see the inner work. They did not see the strength that came from surviving what almost broke your confidence. They did not see the discernment born from disappointment. They did not see the new identity rising quietly beneath the old pain. So do not let their old opinion become your current ceiling. Do not let the memory of being doubted make you afraid to receive. Do not let the fear of being visible keep you attached to smallness. Do not let the possibility of criticism make you reject the very offer that may be aligned with your next season. There is a difference between humility and hiding. Humility says, "I know this is bigger than me, so I will carry it with reverence." Hiding says, "I am afraid to be seen, so I will call my fear wisdom." There is a difference between patience and avoidance. Patience says, "I will not force the door before it's time." Avoidance says, "The door is opening, but I will pretend I do not see it because responsibility scares me." There is a difference between discernment and distrust. Discernment says, "I will test the offer with peace." Distrust says, "Nothing good can be real because I have been disappointed before." And in this next season, you must know the difference. Because the offer may come wrapped in responsibility. It may come with decisions. It may come with pressure. It may come with attention. It may come with people suddenly wanting access to a version of you they did not help build. It may come with the temptation to move too fast, speak too much, share too early, or accept too quickly. That is why your inner world must be steady. Not perfect, steady. You do not have to have every answer before the offer arrives. You do not have to feel completely fearless before the door opens. You do not have to become a different person overnight, but you do need to become honest with yourself about what is still controlling you. Is it peace or is it pressure? Is it calling or is it comparison? Is it alignment or is it the need to finally feel important? Is it obedience or is it a desire to make people regret how they treated you? These questions are not meant to shame you. They are meant to protect you, because what is coming must be received by the healed part of you, not the wounded part. It must be received by the formed part of you, not the desperate part. It must be received by the clear part of you, not the part that still wants to prove your worth in front of people who could never define it. That is why the hidden season was mercy. It taught you how to survive without applause. It taught you how to think when nobody was guiding you. It taught you how to listen when everyone had an opinion. It taught you how to lose what was familiar without losing yourself. It taught you how to keep a promise alive when the outside world gave you no evidence. And now, because of that, the offer can meet a version of you that is not so easily bought, not so easily flattered, not so easily manipulated, not so easily pulled back into the rooms you outgrew. That is the formed version. That is the version they did not see. That is the version the offer is looking for. So when it comes, do not shrink, do not rush, do not perform, do not panic, do not turn it into a trophy for your ego. Do not hand it to doubters and ask them to finally call you valuable. You do not need them to call you valuable. You need peace to confirm alignment. You need wisdom to test the door. You need humility to carry the weight. You need courage to walk through when the time is right. And you need to remember that the offer did not make you chosen. It only met you on the path of becoming. Now the next thing you must understand is how to recognize the signs before the offer fully appears. Because the door often begins moving before you can see it with your physical eyes. Something shifts in your conversations, something shifts in your desires, something shifts in your tolerance, something shifts in the way people remember you, something shifts in your inner world before the outer world gives you proof. And if you do not know what to look for, you may miss the early signals. You may dismiss the small message. You may ignore the quiet invitation. You may call peace coincidence. You may call preparation random. You may call a divine setup ordinary because it did not arrive with noise. But the next part will help you see it more clearly. You will begin to recognize the signs that the offer is approaching. You will understand why certain people are suddenly returning to your mind. You will understand why your tolerance for old rooms is changing. You will understand why your body and spirit may feel a shift before your circumstances explain it. And most importantly, you will learn how to test the offer before you say yes. Because what is coming may be beautiful, but beauty alone is not enough. It must be aligned. And alignment rarely arrives with noise first. Most of the time, it begins quietly. It begins as a change in what you can tolerate. It begins as a shift in what no longer excites you. It begins as a strange calm in a place where you used to panic. It begins as the feeling that something is moving, even before your eyes can prove it. Chosen one, this is where you must become more sensitive, but not more anxious. There is a difference. Anxiety tries to force meaning into everything. Sensitivity notices what keeps repeating with peace. Anxiety becomes obsessed with signs. Sensitivity receives signs without worshipping them. Anxiety says, I need proof right now, or I cannot trust anything. Sensitivity says, I can watch, I can listen, I can test, and I can wait without losing myself. That is the posture you need now. Because before the offer fully appears, there are usually small movements. A door does not always swing open suddenly without warning. Sometimes it creaks first. Sometimes the room changes temperature before the door moves. Sometimes your spirit knows something is near before your circumstances can explain it. Sometimes the divine prepares your inner world before your outer world catches up. And if you are not paying attention, you may call preparation random. You may call peace coincidence. You may call a small message ordinary. You may call an inner shift meaningless. You may dismiss the very signal that was sent to help you prepare. So listen carefully, not with panic, but with discernment. The first sign that the offer may be approaching is that old names, old places, or old opportunities begin returning to your awareness in a different way. This does not always mean you must return to them. That is important. Just because something comes back to your mind does not mean it belongs back in your life. Sometimes it returns so you can see how much you have changed. Sometimes it returns so you can close the emotional door without bitterness. Sometimes it returns because there is unfinished wisdom, not unfinished access. But there are moments when a name keeps appearing. A person you have not thought about suddenly comes to mind. A place connected to your calling rises in your memory. A past skill, project, dream, or conversation begins to stir again. You may hear someone mention a name connected to your old season. You may see a reminder of something you once thought was over. You may feel a quiet pull towards something you abandoned because the timing was not right. Do not rush to interpret it. Hold it in peace. Ask inside your spirit, is this returning to tempt me, to teach me, or to prepare me? That question matters, because the offer may come through something connected to your past, but it will not ask you to become your old self again. The right door may involve old names, old rooms, or old gifts, but it will require a new version of you to walk through it. The old you may have chased, the new you observes. The old you may have begged, the new you discerns. The old you may have confused familiarity with destiny. The new you knows that something can be familiar and still no longer be aligned. So when old names return, do not panic, do not romanticize, do not assume, just pay attention. The divine may be showing you what is being reorganized around your life. The second sign is that conversations around your value begin shifting. This can happen before anyone tells you directly. Someone may ask about you. Someone may mention your work. Someone may bring up a gift you thought nobody noticed. Someone may remember something you did months ago, or even years ago. A person may say your name in a room you are not standing in. A connection may form quietly before it reaches you. A decision may begin moving behind the scenes before you receive the message. This is why you must stop believing that nothing is happening just because nobody has informed you yet. You do not know every room where your name has been spoken. You do not know every conversation your faithfulness has entered. You do not know who has been watching quietly. You do not know who has been remembering your work. You do not know who is being moved to reach out at the right time. There are doors that begin as whispers before they become invitations. There are offers that begin as someone remembering you. There are opportunities that begin as a conversation you were not present to hear. And this is why the hidden season trained you not to depend on immediate feedback. If you needed constant proof, you would have quit before the unseen movement had time to reach the surface. But now you know better. You know that silence does not always mean absence. You know that delay does not always mean denial. You know that no message does not always mean no movement. You know that the divine can work in rooms where your feet have not entered yet. So when conversations shift, stay humble, stay grounded, stay quiet enough to listen. Do not run ahead and create a story your spirit has not confirmed. But also do not dismiss the possibility that what you carried in secret is beginning to be remembered in public. The third sign is that you begin to feel a strange calm after a long season of pressure. This one may surprise you, because many people expect a breakthrough to feel like excitement first. They expect loud emotion. They expect constant energy. They expect signs that make the body feel electric. But sometimes, right before a true door opens, the first thing that comes is not excitement. It is peace. A deep, quiet, almost unfamiliar peace. You may not have all the answers, but you no longer feel the same panic. You may not know exactly what is coming, but something in you stops begging the future to explain itself. You may still have responsibilities, bills, decisions, questions, and unfinished details. But beneath all of it, there is a steadiness you did not have before. That peace is not laziness. That peace is not denial. That peace is not you giving up. That peace may be your spirit, recognizing that you are no longer fighting the same battle from the same identity. You are not trying to force what must be aligned. You are not trying to open doors with fear. You are not trying to make doubters believe before the appointed time. You are not trying to use anxiety as proof that you care. You are learning to stand still without collapsing. And that is powerful, because when the offer comes, panic can make you misread it. Panic can make a small door look like your only chance. Panic can make an impressive invitation feel divine simply because you are tired. Panic can make you accept terms that your healed self would never accept. But peace slows you down. Peace gives you space to ask better questions. Peace lets you notice details. Peace helps you hear the difference between pressure and invitation. Peace helps you recognize whether the door is calling your calling or feeding your wound. So if you feel a calm that does not make sense, do not dismiss it. That calm may be preparation. The fourth sign is that your tolerance for small doors begins to disappear. There was a time when you may have accepted almost anything just to feel chosen. A little attention, a little approval, a little access, a little recognition, a little apology, a little opportunity that barely honored your value, but at least made you feel seen for a moment. But now, something inside you is changing. The rooms you used to want no longer feel spacious enough. The conversations you used to force now feel draining. The invitations you once would have accepted quickly now require deeper testing. The people you once tried to impress no longer hold the same emotional power over you. This is not arrogance. This is alignment growing inside you. When a person begins to outgrow survival, they often stop fitting inside the doors they once begged to enter. What used to feel like a blessing may now feel like a cage. What used to feel like opportunity may now feel like a compromise. What used to feel like acceptance may now feel like a smaller version of peace. This is why you should not be shocked if certain options lose their shine. You are not becoming ungrateful. You are becoming more honest. You are not becoming difficult. You are becoming more aligned. You are not rejecting everything. You are learning that not everything offered to you is assigned to you. That is a major shift, because the old you may have thought, if someone offers me something, I must take it. If someone finally sees me, I must respond. If a door opens, I must run through it. If a person returns, it must mean something. If an opportunity appears, it must be my only chance. But the formed version of you knows better. The formed version knows that access is not always alignment. Attention is not always honor. A return is not always restoration. A bigger room is not always a better room. A louder opportunity is not always a sacred door. So when your tolerance changes, do not fight it. It may be one of the clearest signs that you are being prepared for something that requires more integrity than the old doors could hold. The fifth sign is that you begin preparing without fully knowing why. This is one of the most sacred signs because it often looks ordinary. You may suddenly feel pulled to organize parts of your life. You may feel the need to finish something you have delayed. You may start improving a skill. You may return to a habit that strengthens you. You may clean up your schedule, your environment, your digital space, your relationships, your commitments, or your inner world. No one may have told you an offer is coming. No contract may be in your hand. No message may have arrived yet. But something inside you begins saying, get ready. Not in fear, not in panic, not in desperation, but with a quiet seriousness. That is preparation speaking. There are seasons when the divine moves you to prepare before you know what you are preparing for. You begin making room. You begin closing old emotional tabs. You begin finishing things that have been hanging over your spirit. You begin simplifying. You begin saying no more easily. You begin noticing where your energy is leaking. And at first, you may not understand why. But later, when the door begins to open, you realize that the preparation came before the invitation because mercy was giving you time. The offer may require capacity, so your spirit begins creating capacity. The offer may require clarity, so your life begins rejecting confusion. The offer may require focus, so your tolerance for distraction begins dying. The offer may require courage, so old fear begins rising to be healed before the moment arrives. This is why you should not ignore the inner instruction to prepare. You do not need to make dramatic physical movements right now. You do not need to prove anything to anyone. Even if you are lying down, even if you are driving, even if you are just listening quietly, you can perform a mental act of preparation inside your spirit. Picture your inner life as a room with one table in the center. On that table are old papers, old opinions, old fears, old names, old disappointments, old versions of yourself, trying to explain why you are not ready. Now, without moving your body, imagine a quiet light entering that room. Not loud, not forceful, just steady. Let that light separate what belongs from what does not belong. Let it show you what must be kept, what must be released, and what must no longer sit on the table of your decisions. And inside yourself, say this: I will not carry clutter through a sacred door. That sentence is enough for now. The sixth sign is that the people who doubted you begin losing emotional power over you. This is one of the most important signs, because the offer cannot be safely carried if your heart is still controlled by the people who questioned your worth. There may have been a time when their silence hurt deeply. Their opinion stayed in your mind. Their lack of support made you feel smaller. Their absence made you wonder what was wrong with you. Their words replayed in your thoughts when you tried to move forward. But now, something is shifting. You may still remember what happened, but it no longer owns the whole room inside you. You may still feel the sting sometimes, but it does not control your direction. You may still notice their reaction, but you do not need it to become permission. You may still care, but you are no longer governed by the need to be understood. That is freedom. And freedom is often one of the final preparations before an aligned offer arrives. Because if the offer came while their opinions still ruled your heart, you may have used the offer to chase healing from the wrong source. You may have wanted their applause more than your own peace. You may have shared the door too early just to watch their faces change. You may have turned a sacred opportunity into emotional evidence in a trial that should have ended long ago. But when their doubt loses power, you can finally receive without performing. You can receive without needing to announce. You can receive without building your joy around their regret. You can receive without making the next season about people who were only assigned to witness your growth from a distance. That is why this sign matters. If you can think about the people who doubted you and no longer feel the same need to convince them, something is changing. If you can remember who left and no longer feel the same urge to chase, something is changing. If you can bless them from a distance without giving them authority over your next decision, something is changing. And this is not coldness. This is clean separation. This is the moment when your spirit says, I can love without shrinking. I can forgive without returning. I can be seen without explaining. I can move forward without needing everyone to agree that I deserve to move. That kind of freedom creates space for the right offer. The seventh sign is that an unlikely channel begins to open. This may be the most visible sign, but it often appears in a small form at first. A message may come from someone unexpected. A person may ask a question that seems casual, but later becomes important. An old connection may suddenly have new relevance. Someone may offer help without you asking. A small opportunity may appear that does not look huge at first, but carries unusual peace. You may find yourself in a conversation that opens a path you could not have planned. This is why you must not despise small beginnings. Not every divine setup arrives with dramatic music. Not every aligned offer looks impressive in its first form. Sometimes it appears as a small crack in the wall, a quiet introduction, a short call, A simple question. A message that says, "Are you available?" A thought that says, "Reach out." A chance to serve. A chance to be prepared. A chance to step into a room beside someone who already recognizes the value you carry. But again, do not rush. Small does not always mean sacred. Unexpected does not always mean aligned. Impressive does not always mean divine. That is why you need a filter, because the offer may be approaching, but your excitement cannot be the only judge. Your wound cannot be the judge. Your fear cannot be the judge. Your need to prove something cannot be the judge. You need something deeper, calmer, and more honest. You need to test the offer before you say yes. And the first test is peace. Not comfort, peace. Comfort is often connected to what is familiar. Peace is connected to what is aligned. Comfort may keep you small because smallness feels safe. Peace may lead you into a larger responsibility while still keeping your spirit steady. So when an offer appears, ask inwardly, does this carry peace beneath the weight? It may stretch you. That is not always a warning. It may make you nervous. That is not always a warning. It may require growth. That is not always a warning. But beneath the stretch, beneath the nerves, beneath the responsibility, is there a deep sense that your spirit is not being violated? That is the question. If the offer brings only pressure, only urgency, only confusion, only fear of missing out, only the sense that you must betray your values quickly before it disappears, slow down. The divine does not need manipulation to guide you. A true offer may require courage, but it will not require you to abandon your soul. The second test is alignment. Ask, does this offer match the person I am becoming, or does it appeal to the person I am outgrowing? That question will save you from many beautiful distractions, because some offers are designed for an old version of you. They look good because they speak to an old hunger, the hunger to be admired, the hunger to be chosen, the hunger to finally feel important, the hunger to return to a room and make people admit they were wrong. But an aligned offer does not only flatter you, it fits the direction of your becoming. It does not pull you backward into old patterns. It calls you forward into greater integrity. It does not make you betray your healing. It supports the person you have been quietly becoming. It does not require you to become smaller in order to fit. It requires you to become stronger in order to carry. That is alignment. The third test is fruit. Ask, what will this produce in my life? Not just what will it give me immediately. What will it produce? Will it produce clarity or confusion? Will it produce peace or constant chaos? Will it produce honest growth or hidden compromise? Will it produce service or ego? Will it produce freedom or a new kind of bondage? Will it strengthen my calling or scatter my attention? Will it help me build, or will it only help me look successful while I become emptier inside? Fruit tells the truth over time. An offer can look beautiful at the door and become bitter inside the room. An opportunity can shine in public and drain you in private. A relationship can sound like restoration and still produce confusion. A partnership can promise increase and still cost you your peace. So look at the fruit, not the fantasy, not the flattery, not the fear of missing out. The fruit, peace, alignment, fruit. Let those three words become a filter inside you. When something arrives, do not just ask, is this big? Ask, is there peace? Do not just ask, will this impress people? Ask, is this aligned? Do not just ask, what can I gain? Ask, what will this produce? That is how you stop being controlled by the shock of the moment. That is how you stop letting the people who doubted you indirectly shape your decisions. That is how you stop accepting doors just because they make your life look more impressive. And this is where the deeper preparation begins. Because the right offer may not always feel easy. It may feel weighty. It may require you to become more disciplined, more focused, more honest, more visible, more courageous. And if your inner world is still full of noise, you may confuse weight with warning. You may confuse responsibility with danger. You may confuse expansion with threat. This is why your body and spirit may begin reacting before your circumstances explain anything. You may feel tired in a way sleep does not fully fix. Not because something is wrong with your calling, but because transition can be heavy. When your inner world is releasing one season and preparing for another, your system may feel the weight before your mind can name it. You may feel emotional waves, peace one moment, sadness the next, hope rising without explanation, tears coming from a place you cannot easily explain. This does not always mean you are falling apart. Sometimes it means your heart is processing the distance between who you had to be and who you are becoming. You may have vivid dreams or strange inner pictures. You may see doors, rooms, roads, water, old houses, new places, people from the past, or scenes that feel more symbolic than ordinary. Do not become obsessed with every detail, but do not dismiss the fact that your deeper mind may be speaking in images before your waking life gives you words. You may keep noticing repeated signs, numbers, phrases, songs, or conversations that seem to meet you at the exact moment you needed them. Again, do not worship the sign. Let the sign point you back to peace, alignment, and fruit. You may feel your tolerance changing in your body. Certain conversations feel heavier than before. Certain environments feel too small. Certain habits feel draining. Certain people may not be doing anything new, but something in you can no longer pretend the old energy is harmless. That is not you becoming dramatic. That may be your spirit refusing to keep normalizing what drains the life out of you. You may also feel tension when thinking about the future, a heaviness in the chest, a restlessness in your thoughts, a sense that something is near, but not fully named. When this happens, do not immediately call it anxiety. Ask whether it is fear, warning, or transition. Fear says, hide because you are not enough. Warning says, slow down because something is not aligned. Transition says, breathe through the threshold because the old identity is being stretched. Learn the difference. That difference will help you receive the offer with wisdom, because some of what you are feeling is not punishment, it is processing. Some of what you are sensing is not confusion, it is recalibration. Some of what feels like heaviness is not always a sign to quit. It may be the weight of becoming more conscious before a larger door. And this brings us to something most people never talk about. There may be a bridge between your spiritual sensitivity and the state of your mind. There may be a reason why, at certain times in your life, you felt more creative, more intuitive, more alive, more aware, more connected, more capable of seeing patterns other people missed. And there may be a reason why modern stress, disappointment, constant noise, survival pressure, and emotional exhaustion can make that inner clarity feel dormant. Think back to when you were younger, not because childhood was perfect. For many of you, it was not. But there may have been moments when your mind felt faster, your imagination felt more open, your intuition felt more natural. You could sense things without needing long explanations. You could learn quickly. You could feel when something was off. You could dream without immediately doubting the dream. Then life happened. Pressure happened. Systems happened. Disappointment happened. Survival happened. And slowly, something inside began to feel quieter. Not gone, just buried under noise. Scientists have studied certain brain states connected to focus, insight, learning, and those sudden moments when the mind seems to light up with clarity. Some call this a higher frequency state. Some connect it to creative flow. Some speak of the brain shifting out of survival and into a state where insight becomes easier to access. I am saying this carefully because I do not want you to turn this into hype. But what if part of what you call blocked intuition is not the absence of calling? What if part of it is your inner system being stuck in survival? What if your spirit has been speaking, but the noise around your mind has made it harder to recognize the signal? What if the offer requires not only faith, but clarity? What if the next door is not just asking for your hope, but for your focus, your discernment, your ability to listen without being ruled by fear. I will come back to this soon, because there is something important here. Something connected to the way your mind, your spirit, and your readiness work together. But for now, I want you to hold this one thought. Before a true offer opens outside you, clarity often has to awaken inside you, because a confused mind can mishandle a clear door. A desperate heart can misread a good opportunity. A wounded identity can turn a blessing into a performance. And an exhausted spirit can reject something aligned simply because it feels too large to carry. So the preparation is not only external, it is internal. It is the sharpening of discernment. It is the quieting of survival noise. It is the return of a deeper knowing that does not scream, does not panic, does not flatter your ego, but speaks with steady peace. That is why you cannot rush this season. You may be tempted to say, just bring the offer already. Just open the door. Just let them see. Just let something happen, so I can finally know that the waiting was not wasted. But if the door opened before your inner clarity was ready, you might call the wrong thing divine. You might mistake pressure for urgency. You might mistake flattery for favor. You might mistake a returning person for restoration. You might mistake visibility for purpose. You might mistake a large offer for the right offer. And this is the false summit many people fall into. They think that once the offer appears, the test is over. But often, when the offer appears, a deeper test begins. The test of whether you can stay peaceful when something exciting is placed before you. The test of whether you can ask questions instead of rushing. The test of whether you can receive interest without becoming attached. The test of whether you can let a door close if it is not aligned, even after waiting so long for any door to open. That is not easy, because when you have been overlooked for a long time, almost any recognition can feel like water in a desert. When you have been doubted for a long time, almost any offer can feel like proof. When you have been waiting for a long time, almost any movement can feel like destiny. But chosen one, not every movement is destiny. Some movement is distraction. Some movement is temptation. Some movement is training. Some movement is confirmation. And some movement is the real door beginning to open. This is why you must not surrender your discernment to your excitement. Let excitement visit, but do not let it drive. Let hope rise, but do not let it blind you. Let gratitude fill you, but do not let gratitude make you ignore what your spirit is sensing. The offer may be near. The signs may already be forming. Conversations may already be shifting. Your inner world may already be preparing. Old names may already be returning. Your tolerance may already be changing. Your peace may already be increasing. Your body may already be processing the threshold. But you are not done. You are not simply waiting for an external door. You are becoming the person who can stand before that door and know whether it belongs to you. That is the deeper work. And in the next part, this becomes even more important, because the biggest revelation is not that an offer is coming. The biggest revelation is that the offer is looking for the formed version of you. It is looking for the one who no longer begs, the one who no longer chases, the one who no longer needs doubters to become believers before moving forward, the one who can be trusted with visibility because hiddenness did not make them bitter. And this is where the real shock begins. They will not just be shocked by what you receive, they will be shocked by who you have become, because the version of you they expected to meet is not the version standing at the doorway now. They expected the old hunger, the old chasing, the old explaining, the old need to be understood, the old ache that wanted someone to finally say, I see you, I believe you, I was wrong about you. They expected you to still be emotionally tied to the way they treated you. They expected your next move to be shaped by their old opinion. But the offer is not looking for that version of you. The offer is looking for the formed version, the version that learned how to stand in silence without collapsing, the version that learned how to keep going when nobody was clapping, the version that learned how to lose people without losing purpose, the version that learned how to forgive without handing back access. The version that learned how to stop begging closed doors to admit they were wrong for closing. That is the revelation. The offer is not coming to rescue the version of you that felt rejected. It is coming to meet the version of you that was built after rejection could no longer define you. And that is why the timing matters. A true offer does not only ask, "Do you want this?" It asks, "Are you ready to carry this?" It asks, "Have you healed enough not to use this as revenge?" It asks, "Have you become steady enough not to turn this into an identity?" It asks, "Have you become clear enough to know the difference between a door that honors your calling and a door that only flatters your wound?" Because the old version of you may have taken anything that made you feel chosen. The formed version of you can pause. The old version may have announced everything too early. The formed version can protect what is sacred while it is still growing. The old version may have used the offer to make people regret doubting you. The formed version understands that peace is more powerful than performance. The old version may have confused attention with value. The formed version knows that value existed before attention arrived. This is why your hidden season was not wasted. It separated you from the need to be constantly confirmed. It trained you to hear the quiet warning beneath a beautiful opportunity. It taught you that being invited does not always mean being aligned. It taught you that not every room that opens deserves your presence. It taught you that not every person who returns deserves access to the new version of your life. And now, because of that, the offer can come without owning you. It can bless you without becoming your God. It can open a door without becoming your identity. It can shock doubters without making their shock the center of your joy. That is maturity. That is the formed version. That is the version the offer is looking for. And this is where you must understand something sacred about visibility. People often pray for the door, but they do not always understand the weight of being seen. They want the offer, but they do not always understand that every offer carries responsibility. They want the recognition, but they do not always understand that recognition exposes what has not been healed. They want the room to open, but they do not always understand that the room will test the foundation. Visibility does not create character. It reveals it. An offer does not create your identity. It reveals where your identity has been anchored. A door does not create your peace. It reveals where the peace was already living inside you before the door moved. This is why the divine often forms people in private before trusting them with public movement. Think of David. David was anointed before he was recognized. He carried oil before he carried a crown. He fought private battles before he stood in a public battlefield. He was not formed in a palace first. He was formed in fields, in lonely spaces, in quiet responsibility, in places where nobody applauded him for protecting what had been entrusted to him. Before anyone celebrated David, he had to learn faithfulness when only sheep were watching. Before he faced a giant in public, he faced danger in private. Before he was trusted with a throne, he had to become someone who could worship in hiddenness, fight without being seen, and obey without needing a crowd. That is not random. That is a pattern. The offer often comes after hidden faithfulness has built something strong enough to survive visibility. And that speaks to you, because there were private battles you fought that no one knows about. There were things you protected when no one thanked you. There were temptations you resisted when no one would have known. There were responsibilities you carried quietly. There were days when you had every reason to become bitter, reckless, cold, or careless. But something inside you kept choosing a higher path. That mattered. It mattered when nobody saw it. It mattered when nobody praised it. It mattered when the world called it small. Because hidden faithfulness is often the birthplace of public trust. Then think of Esther. She was positioned before she fully understood the purpose of her position. What looked like favor was also responsibility. What looked like access was also assignment. The door opened, but the door was not just for comfort. It was not just for beauty. It was not just for status. It was not just for being admired. It was for courage. It was for timing. It was for standing in a moment that required her to become more than the role people placed on her. And that is how some offers work. They do not only give you something, they ask something from you. They ask for your courage. They ask for your clarity. They ask for your voice. They ask for your integrity. They ask for your willingness to stop hiding behind the belief that you are not ready. They ask for the version of you that has been formed through everything you survived. So when the offer comes, do not only ask, "What can I gain?" Ask, "What will this require from me? Will this require me to grow? Will this require me to speak? Will this require me to build? Will this require me to set boundaries? Will this require me to stop shrinking? Will this require me to trust the preparation I did not understand while it was happening?" Because sometimes the offer shocks everyone not because it is glamorous, but because it reveals that you were being positioned the whole time. They thought you were hidden because you were forgotten, but hidden does not always mean forgotten. Sometimes hidden means protected. Sometimes hidden means positioned. Sometimes hidden means prepared away from the hands that would have mishandled you. David was hidden in fields before the public battle. Esther was hidden in identity before the moment of courage. Joseph was hidden in prison before the palace needed his gift. And you were hidden in your own wilderness before the offer could safely find you. This is why you must stop being ashamed of the seasons that did not look impressive. Those seasons were not proof that nothing was happening. They were proof that the foundation was being dug deeper than other people could see. And now, the visible part is beginning to move. But the real shock will not be the offer itself. The real shock will be that you are not begging anymore. They may expect you to act surprised in a way that loses your center. They may expect you to run back and tell them everything. They may expect you to finally ask them to validate what they once dismissed. They may expect you to become loud, proud, desperate to show, desperate to prove, desperate to make everyone acknowledge the shift. But instead, they may see peace. And peace will shock them more than pride ever could. Because pride would tell them you are still tied to their opinion. Pride would tell them their doubt still shaped your performance. Pride would tell them you still need their reaction to complete the moment. But peace tells a different story. Peace says, "I was seen before you saw me." Peace says, "I was chosen before you recognized me." Peace says, "I was being formed before the offer had a name." Peace says, "Your doubt was painful, but it was not powerful enough to stop what was written." Peace says, "I do not need to make you small in order to stand tall." That is the version of you they did not expect. They expected bitterness, but they will see freedom. They expected anger, but they will see clarity. They expected desperation, but they will see restraint. They expected you to chase, but they will see you discern. They expected you to prove, but they will see you build. They expected you to need their applause, but they will see you move with or without it. That is the real shock. Not that someone makes you an offer, not that a door opens, not that a room finally recognizes your name, but that you no longer need the offer to heal the wound they created. You have been healing before the offer arrived. You have been becoming before the invitation came. You have been chosen before the recognition had a voice. And I hear this strongly in my spirit. The divine is saying, "I did not wait for them to believe in you before I began preparing you. I did not ask their permission before I placed purpose in you. I did not need their applause to confirm what I was building. They saw the silence, but I saw the surrender. They saw the delay, but I saw the development. They saw the outside, but I was working in the hidden place. Now walk through the right door with clean hands, steady breath, and a heart that does not need revenge to feel restored." Receive that, not as hype, not as fantasy, not as a reason to become careless. Receive it as a call to become steady, because this is where the message turns from recognition into responsibility. If the right offer is coming, your inner clarity matters more than ever. If a new door is approaching, your ability to hear peace beneath pressure matters more than ever. If people who doubted you are about to witness a shift, your character matters more than ever. And this brings us back to what I mentioned earlier. There may be a bridge between your spiritual sensitivity and the state of your mind, because sometimes the reason you feel blocked is not that you have no calling. Sometimes the reason you feel foggy is not that your gift disappeared. Sometimes the reason your intuition feels buried is not that the divine stopped speaking. Sometimes the signal is still there, but the noise has become too loud. Modern life trains the mind to live in survival. Constant pressure, constant comparison, constant notifications, constant disappointment, constant problem solving, constant emotional weight, constant fear about money, relationships, purpose, time, age, mistakes, and whether you are falling behind. And when the mind is trapped in survival, clarity becomes harder to access. You can still be chosen and feel foggy. You can still have purpose and feel scattered. You can still carry a gift and feel disconnected from it. You can still be spiritually sensitive and struggle to hear clearly through the noise. That is why this matters right here, at this exact place in the message. Because an offer is not only received by your hands, it is discerned by your inner state. A chaotic mind may call pressure divine. A desperate heart may call flattery favor. A tired spirit may reject a real door because the responsibility feels too large. A wounded identity may accept the wrong offer because it finally feels seen. So before the offer arrives, something in you must be recalibrated. Not replaced, recalibrated. You are not broken. You are not empty. You are not without a gift. You may simply have been living under so much noise that your original clarity feels buried. Think about this. When you were younger, there may have been a part of you that learned quickly, sensed deeply, imagined freely, and noticed patterns others missed. Maybe you could feel when something was wrong before anyone said it. Maybe you had sudden ideas. Maybe you dreamed in ways that felt alive. Maybe you felt guided, creative, intuitive, awake. Then life placed layers over that. Stress placed a layer. School placed a layer. Rejection placed a layer. Survival placed a layer. Disappointment placed a layer. The need to fit in placed a layer. The need to be practical placed a layer. The need to protect yourself placed a layer. And slowly, the signal became harder to hear. This is why brainwave research has become so interesting for people who are trying to understand clarity, flow, learning, creativity, and insight. There are certain brain states connected with heightened focus, fast learning, deep awareness, and those moments when ideas seem to connect suddenly. Some researchers connect these states with gamma activity, a higher frequency pattern associated with moments of intense processing, insight, and integration. Now, I want to be very clear. This is not magic that replaces discipline. This is not a promise that one sound will solve every problem in your life. This is not a replacement for wisdom, prayer, action, rest, therapy, responsibility, or making real decisions. If anyone tells you that a tool can do all the work for you, be careful. But tools can support a state. A quiet room can support prayer. A good rhythm can support focus. A wise conversation can support clarity. The right sound technology may support the mind in returning to a more receptive, focused, and aligned state. And that is where I want to mention something I have placed for those who feel led to explore it. It is called The Genius Song. It is a 7-minute digital audio track designed to be listened to through headphones. Its purpose is to use brain entrainment technology to support gamma brainwave activity, the kind associated with focus, insight, flow, and those sudden moments when the mind feels more awake. According to the product information, it was developed around the work of Dr. Robert Lake, a neuroscientist with decades of experience, and it is designed to be simple enough to use daily without requiring a long meditation practice, complicated rituals, or expensive equipment. Again, hear me carefully. This is not your savior. This is not the offer itself. This is not something you worship. This is a tool for the chosen one who feels like their mind has been foggy, their intuition has been buried, their focus has been scattered, and their original sense of inner brilliance has been muted by survival. This may feel like a timely support, because if you are entering a season where the offer must be discerned, clarity matters. If you are entering a season where doors may open quickly, focus matters. If you are entering a season where you must know the difference between peace and pressure, your inner state matters. I think of a man who had been carrying the pressure of provision for a long time. He had the experience, he had the intelligence, he had the work ethic, but after years of disappointment, he described his mind like a room filled with fog. He would enter important conversations and feel the words disappear. He would know he was capable, but he could not access the sharpness he once had. That is a painful place to be. Not because the gift is gone, but because the connection to the gift feels blocked. And for people like that, the idea of a 7-minute tool is not about escaping responsibility. It is about creating a small daily doorway back into clarity. The Genius Song is framed around that. You put on headphones, you listen for 7 minutes. You allow the audio to guide the brain toward a more aligned state. No complicated routine, no need to perform spirituality, no need to force a perfect meditation. Just a simple practice that may help support the kind of clarity you need as you prepare for what is next. And I know what some of you may be thinking. You have tried so many things. You have tried motivation. You have tried meditation. You have tried spiritual videos. You have tried routines that lasted 3 days and then disappeared because life became heavy again. You have heard people promise transformation before, and you are careful now. That carefulness is not wrong. Healthy discernment is wisdom. You should not blindly believe anything just because it sounds beautiful. You should investigate. You should test. You should listen to your own peace. You should refuse to be manipulated by urgency. And that is why I am not telling you to chase this. I am saying, if this connects with what your spirit has been feeling, explore it. If you feel no pull toward it, let it pass in peace. But if you have been sensing that your inner clarity needs support, if you feel like the next door requires a sharper mind, a calmer inner world, and a return to the focused version of you that used to feel natural, then this may be worth looking at. There is also something important about the price, because clarity should not be framed as something only wealthy people can explore. Traditional brain training methods, advanced biofeedback sessions, and at-home devices can be expensive. Some forms of therapy or equipment can cost hundreds per session or thousands for a device. The Genius Song was created as a digital audio track, so it is much more accessible. The original price is listed at $49, but according to the product page, it is currently offered for $39 for viewers who use the official link. That includes the 7-minute audio track, and it also includes 4 bonuses. One bonus is Genius Child, an audio track designed to support focus and confidence for children. Another is a classic book connected to the kind of wealth and life philosophy that inspired many modern teachings about the mind and success. Another is a guided visualization for imagining a better life in money, love, health, and happiness. And another is an infographic with 5 habits you can print or keep as a reminder for building a stronger future. It also comes with a money-back guarantee, which means you are not being asked to carry all the risk. If you explore it and it does not feel right for you, the product information says you can request your money back. That matters because the right tool should not have to trap you. And one more thing, be careful where you look for it. There are fake pages, copycat audios, and imitation products online using similar names. The concern with imitations is that they may only be ordinary sound files without the embedded brain entrainment technology described in the original. So if you feel led to explore the Genius Song, use the official link placed in the description and the pinned comment. Do not search random sites and assume every result is the same. The official link is there so you can avoid counterfeits, receive the correct audio, receive the bonuses, and keep the guarantee connected to the original offer. Again, no pressure, no force, no hard sell. This is simply a tool for those who feel called to investigate it. And now, let us return to the deeper message. Because the tool is not the transformation. The transformation is the return of clarity. The transformation is when your mind is no longer so noisy that every offer feels confusing. The transformation is when your spirit becomes steady enough to recognize what belongs to you and what does not. The transformation is when you stop needing a door to rescue your identity and start using discernment to decide which door honors your calling. That is what this season is about. Not chasing every opportunity, not grabbing the first thing that looks like recognition, not proving yourself to people who doubted you, not making an idol out of an offer, but becoming clear enough to receive what is aligned. Because the offer is not the only thing being offered. You are being offered a new relationship with yourself, a new relationship with visibility, a new relationship with responsibility, a new relationship with peace, a new relationship with the version of you that no longer has to be pushed by pain to move forward. This is the sacred pivot. The offer may come from a person, but the preparation comes from the divine. The offer may come through a message, but the discernment comes from within. The offer may open a door outside you, but the real door opens first in your identity. And that is why you cannot rush. You cannot rush clarity. You cannot rush formation. You cannot rush the moment when your old hunger loses authority over your decisions. You cannot rush the process of becoming someone who can receive without being controlled by what they receive. There is a difference between being offered something and being ready for it. There is a difference between being seen and being steady while seen. There is a difference between receiving recognition and remaining rooted after recognition arrives. That difference is what the hidden season was building. And now, this is the deeper truth. The offer that shocks everyone who doubted you will not only shock them because it arrives. It will shock them because you do not react the way they expected. They may expect you to become loud, but you will become focused. They may expect you to become arrogant, but you will become grounded. They may expect you to become attached, but you will become discerning. They may expect you to turn back and chase their approval, but you will keep walking forward in peace. They may expect the offer to change you into someone desperate to prove, but it will reveal that you have already changed into someone free. That freedom is the true evidence, because when a person is still bound, every blessing becomes a stage. Every opportunity becomes a weapon. Every open door becomes a way to say, "Look at me now." But when a person is free, an offer becomes a responsibility. Recognition becomes stewardship. Increase becomes service. Visibility becomes a place to carry light, not ego. That is who you are becoming. Not someone who wins just to make others lose. Not someone who rises just to look down. Not someone who receives just to boast. But someone who has been formed deeply enough to understand that every true offer is also an assignment. David did not face Goliath for applause. Esther did not step into courage for status. Joseph did not interpret dreams in the palace just to prove his brothers wrong. Their visible moments were connected to something larger than personal validation, and so is yours. That is why you must not let the pain of being doubted shrink the meaning of what is coming. If the offer becomes only about them, you will miss the assignment. If the door becomes only about proof, you will miss the purpose. If recognition becomes only about revenge, you will miss the responsibility. This is bigger than the people who underestimated you. Their doubt was part of the story, but it is not the center of the story. Your becoming is the center. Your calling is the center. Your readiness is the center. Your clean heart is the center. Your ability to receive without becoming bitter is the center. So as the door moves, return to these questions. Can I receive this without losing peace? Can I carry this without becoming proud? Can I accept this without abandoning my values? Can I step into this without using it to punish people who hurt me? Can I let this offer serve the calling, instead of letting my wound use the offer as a stage? Those questions will protect you, because the offer may be beautiful, but your spirit is more valuable than any opportunity. The door may be rare, but your peace is not something to trade casually. The recognition may feel overdue, but your integrity is worth more than being admired by people who do not know the cost of your formation. That is why what comes next matters. You have seen that the offer is not revenge. You have seen that hiddenness was formation. You have seen that signs may appear before the door opens. You have seen that clarity matters. You have seen that the real shock is not only what you receive, but who you have become. Now you must prepare your spirit, not through panic, not through performance, not through trying to control how everything arrives, but through quiet power, through clean motives, through strong boundaries, through inner clarity, through the courage to say yes when the door is aligned, and the courage to say no when the door only flatters the wound. Because what is coming must be carried. And in what comes next, you will learn how to stand before the offer, without rushing, without shrinking, without worshipping the door, and without handing your peace back to the people who once doubted you. You will learn how to prepare your spirit before the offer arrives. You will learn how to protect what is sacred while it is still forming. You will learn how to walk into the next door with calm authority. And you will learn how to become the kind of person who does not just receive the offer, but carries it well. Because carrying it well is the part most people forget. Many people want the door. Fewer people prepare for the weight behind the door. Many people want the recognition. Fewer people prepare for the responsibility that comes with being recognized. Many people want the offer because they think it will finally make the pain worth it. But the deepest preparation is learning how to receive without losing the peace that was formed in you before anyone saw the result. So this is where your spirit must become steady. Not loud, not frantic, not desperate. Steady. The offer may be approaching, but your assignment right now is not to chase every possible sign until your mind becomes exhausted. Your assignment is to become the kind of person who can recognize what belongs to you, release what does not belong to you, and move without letting the old wound make the decision. Because a wounded heart can say yes to the wrong thing just because it is tired of waiting. A healed heart can pause. A wounded heart can confuse attention with honor. A healed heart can ask whether the offer carries peace. A wounded heart can run toward anything that feels like proof. A healed heart can remember that proof is not the same as purpose. This is why the first preparation is quiet power. Quiet power means you stop giving your next move to people who did not honor your last season. It means you stop announcing every possible door before you have tested whether it is aligned. It means you stop needing people to know that something is happening before you have allowed it to become stable. It means you protect the seed before it becomes fruit. Chosen one, not everything in your life needs witnesses. Some things need covering. Some things need silence. Some things need prayer. Some things need time. Some things need to grow without being touched by too many opinions. If an offer begins forming, do not immediately place it in the hands of people who made you doubt your own value. Do not rush to tell the person who only claps when your life benefits them. Do not run to the people who dismissed your process and ask them to bless the result. Do not expose a sacred beginning to an atmosphere that has never protected your becoming. This is not secrecy from fear. This is stewardship. There is a difference between hiding because you are ashamed and protecting because you are wise. Hiding says, I am afraid to be seen. Protection says, I know this is still forming, so I will not let every voice touch it too early. Hiding says, I do not believe I am worthy. Protection says, I know what is valuable enough to guard. That is quiet power. It is the strength to move without making noise. It is the discipline to let peace confirm what excitement cannot. It is the maturity to keep your next step sacred until it has roots. It is the wisdom to understand that not everyone who asks for details deserves access. The second preparation is clean motive. This one is deeper. Before the offer arrives, ask yourself, not with shame, but with honesty, what part of me wants this? Is it the part of me that wants to serve, build, grow, and obey the calling? Or is it the part of me that wants to finally make people regret what they said? Is it the part of me that feels aligned? Or is it the part of me that still feels rejected? Is it the part of me that wants to walk through a door with peace? Or is it the part of me that wants to stand in front of doubters and say, "Now, do you see me?" Be honest, because honesty is protection. You do not have to pretend your motives are perfect. A clean heart is not a heart that has never felt pain. A clean heart is a heart willing to let pain be purified before it makes decisions. A clean heart can admit, yes, part of me wants them to know they were wrong, but I will not let that part drive my future. A clean heart can admit, yes, I want to be recognized, but I will not trade my calling for applause. A clean heart can admit, yes, I am tired of being overlooked, but I will not accept a wrong door just because I want proof that I matter. That is maturity. Do not hate yourself for wanting vindication. Just do not let vindication become your God. Do not condemn yourself for feeling excited. Just do not let excitement become your compass. Do not shame yourself for wanting the offer. Just do not let the offer become your identity. The third preparation is boundary, because when the offer comes, access may increase. People may suddenly want your time. People may suddenly remember your name. People may suddenly act supportive. People may suddenly become curious about your next move. People may suddenly speak kindly after seasons of silence. People may suddenly want to stand close to what they once questioned from a distance. That can be confusing, because part of you may want to believe every returning voice is restoration. Part of you may want to open the door wide because you remember how painful it felt when nobody came. Part of you may want to be generous with access because you know what loneliness feels like. But generosity without discernment can become self-abandonment. You are allowed to love people without giving them authority. You are allowed to forgive people without restoring the same level of access. You are allowed to be kind without becoming available for old patterns. You are allowed to answer softly and still keep your boundary firm. You are allowed to grow without apologizing for no longer fitting inside the expectations people built around your smaller self. You are allowed to outgrow rooms. You are allowed to outgrow conversations. You are allowed to outgrow versions of yourself. You are allowed to outgrow the need to be constantly explained. You are allowed to outgrow the guilt that tries to pull you back every time you become more aligned. And you do not owe anyone an apology for becoming who you were being formed to become. This does not mean you become cold. It means you become clear. Coldness says, I do not care about anyone. Clarity says, I care, but I will not abandon my assignment to keep everyone comfortable. Coldness says, I will punish people for not understanding me. Clarity says, I will forgive, but I will not hand my future to the same energy that wounded my past. Coldness closes the heart. Clarity guards the gate. And in this next season, you need a guarded gate. Not a locked heart, a guarded gate. Because the offer may come with attention, and attention attracts many kinds of energy. Some will celebrate, some will compare, some will return, some will question, some will suddenly act as if they always believed. Some will try to place themselves in the story after refusing to honor the process. You do not have to fight them. You do not have to expose them. You do not have to explain the whole history. You only need to keep your gate. Let peace decide what gets close. Let wisdom decide what gets details. Let fruit decide what gets trust. The fourth preparation is inner order. If the offer is approaching, your life may need room to receive it. Not because you must move physically right now, not because you must start fixing everything at once, but because your inner world cannot be so crowded with old fear that it has no space for new instruction. So here is a mental action you can do, even while lying down, even while sitting still, even while listening in the middle of your day. Imagine your inner life as a room. In that room, there is a table. On that table are many things people handed you. Old labels, old doubts, old disappointments, old expectations, old arguments, old versions of yourself trying to keep their place. Old voices saying, "Who do you think you are?" Old memories saying, "Remember what happened last time." Old fears saying, "Do not trust anything good." Old wounds saying, "Use this offer to make them pay attention." Now imagine that a quiet light enters that room. Not a harsh light, not a loud light, a steady light. Let that light fall across the table. Let it reveal what does not belong in your next decision. Let it show the difference between wisdom and fear. Let it show the difference between peace and pressure. Let it show the difference between a true offer and an old wound wearing the clothes of opportunity. And inside yourself, give one command. Clear the table, not with force, not with panic, not with anger, with authority. Clear the table of the need to prove. Clear the table of the need to impress. Clear the table of the need to be understood by everyone. Clear the table of the need to accept anything just because you waited so long. Clear the table of the fear that says every good thing will be taken from you. Clear the table of the voice that says you are not ready just because you are reverent. And leave only what belongs. Peace, wisdom, alignment, courage, humility, discernment, a clean yes, a clean no, a steady spirit. That is your inner preparation. You do not need to move your body to do it. You do not need a perfect environment. You do not need to perform anything. Let your spirit receive the command. Clear the table, because the offer should not have to compete with old clutter in order to be discerned. The fifth preparation is courageous patience. This is difficult because once you sense that something is near, you may want to rush. You may want to make something happen. You may want to message someone, force a conversation, push a door, overthink every sign, check every possibility, and turn preparation into panic. But panic is not preparation. Panic is fear wearing the clothes of responsibility. Preparation is steady. Preparation is faithful. Preparation is alert without being frantic. Preparation does what can be done without trying to control what belongs to timing. There are things you can do. You can become clearer about what you value. You can become honest about what drains you. You can practice saying no inside yourself before you need to say it outside. You can imagine receiving a good offer without immediately worshipping it. You can imagine turning down a wrong offer without feeling like you have lost your only chance. You can let your spirit rehearse peace before the moment arrives. That is courageous patience. It says, "I am ready to move, but I will not force." It says, "I am open to receive, but I will not chase." It says, "I can prepare, but I do not need to control." It says, "I can stay faithful while the door is still moving." And this is important because sometimes the final stretch before an offer feels the most tempting. You may sense movement, but not see proof. You may feel closer, but not have details. You may notice signs, but not have the full invitation. That space can trigger old fear. Do not let old fear make you manufacture what was meant to arrive through alignment. You do not need to manipulate the door. You need to be ready when the right door opens. The sixth preparation is humble confidence. Humility without confidence can become hiding. Confidence without humility can become arrogance. But humble confidence is different. It says, "I know the offer is bigger than me, but I also know I have been prepared." It says, "I will not pretend I am nothing just to look spiritual." It says, "I will not exaggerate myself just to look powerful." It says, "I can honor the wait and still take the step." You are allowed to acknowledge your preparation. You are allowed to admit that you have grown. You are allowed to recognize that the old version of you would have mishandled some things, but the formed version has more wisdom now. You are allowed to stop calling yourself unready just because you still feel reverence. You are allowed to stop shrinking every time life asks you to expand. Chosen one, There is a kind of false humility that is really fear. It says, I am not enough, so I will stay small. It says, I do not want to be seen, so I will pretend I am being modest. It says, I am waiting on a sign, but really I am avoiding the responsibility of becoming visible. And there is a kind of false confidence that is really insecurity. It says, I must make everyone know. I must prove every person wrong. I must show the world I am powerful. I must use the offer as a trophy. Both are bondage. The path is humble confidence. You do not need to shrink. You do not need to boast. You do not need to beg. You do not need to perform. You can stand. You can receive. You can discern. You can move. You can carry the offer with clean hands. And now, let us bring this into the 3 areas where the offer may reorganize your life. The first area is purpose. For some of you, the offer will connect to something you were born to build, speak, create, lead, teach, serve, restore, or begin. It may not look huge at first. It may begin as a small invitation, a small audience, a small connection, a small chance, a small step. But if it carries alignment, do not despise it. Purpose often enters through a narrow doorway before it expands. You may feel fear because purpose asks you to stop hiding. You may feel pressure because purpose asks for consistency. You may feel exposed because purpose brings your gift into the open. But if it is aligned, it will not only make you visible, it will make you more faithful. Do not ask only, will this make me known? Ask, will this make me more obedient to what I am here to carry? The second area is provision. For some of you, the offer may come through money, work, a contract, a client, a promotion, a sale, a partnership, a resource, a person who opens a practical door, or a path that makes life feel less heavy. If you have been in a long season of pressure, provision can feel emotional. It can make you cry. It can make you suspicious. It can make you want to grab quickly, because lack trained your nervous system to fear that good things disappear. But when provision comes, breathe inside your spirit before you decide. Ask whether the provision honors your peace. Ask whether the source is clean. Ask whether the terms respect your calling. Ask whether it creates freedom or a prettier kind of bondage. Because provision from the right source strengthens your assignment. Provision from the wrong source can buy access to your life in ways you did not understand at first. The right offer will not require you to sell your soul for relief. The right offer will not ask you to betray your values just to escape pressure. The right offer may stretch your responsibility, but it will not make you abandon your spirit. The third area is relationships. This may be the most emotional, because when your season changes, relationships often reorganize. Some people will celebrate you with clean hearts. Some people will return because they feel the shift. Some people will become curious because access to you now seems more valuable. Some people will be confused because the version of you they expected is no longer available. Some people will feel offended because your peace no longer depends on their approval. Do not be shocked by this. When your value becomes more visible, some people will respond to the visibility, not the value. They may not have honored the root, but they will want to stand near the fruit. Be kind, but be discerning. Do not drag everyone into the new room. Do not reopen every door because your heart feels sentimental. Do not confuse nostalgia with instruction. Do not confuse an apology with transformation. Do not confuse sudden interest with loyalty. Let relationships be tested by fruit. Do they bring peace or confusion? Do they honor your boundaries or punish them? Do they celebrate your growth or only tolerate you when you stay small? Do they speak to the formed version of you or keep calling the wounded version back into the room? These questions will protect your heart because the offer may shock them, but you cannot let their reaction decide who gets close to you in the next season. Now hear this clearly. You are not becoming someone hard to love. You are becoming someone harder to misuse. You are not becoming arrogant. You are becoming aligned. You are not becoming distant from everyone. You are becoming unavailable to patterns that once drained the life out of you. You are not becoming selfish. You are becoming responsible for the calling you carry. That shift is holy. And this is why your identity must be sealed before the door opens. You are a cycle breaker. That means you are not here to repeat the old pattern of begging to be chosen by people who could not honor your soul. You are not here to repeat the old pattern of shrinking for approval. You are not here to repeat the old pattern of accepting crumbs because you were afraid no full table would ever be prepared for you. You are a builder. That means your pain did not only break you, it gave you materials. You can build wisdom from disappointment. You can build stability from chaos. You can build compassion from rejection. You can build a future that does not look like the environment that tried to limit you. You are a truth carrier. That means you can no longer live by false approval. You can no longer pretend something is aligned when your spirit knows it is not. You can no longer call a cage a blessing just because it is decorated. You can no longer trade truth for belonging in rooms that require you to abandon yourself. You are a wounded healer. That means the pain did not get to keep all it took from you. Some of what hurt you will become medicine, not because the pain was good, but because the divine can transform what was meant to destroy you into wisdom, tenderness, discernment, and strength. You are a pioneer. That means you may enter doors that people in your past did not understand. You may step into rooms your family, your old circle, your former self, or your doubters did not imagine for you. You may have to go first in certain ways. You may have to walk without a crowd. You may have to trust the path before everyone can see where it leads. That is not a punishment. That is part of the assignment. And now, before this message closes, I want you to do one final inner action. Again, do not move your body. Do not make this complicated. Just follow this inside. Imagine yourself standing before a door. Not an ordinary door. A door that represents the next aligned offer. You do not need to know exactly what it is. You do not need to force an image. Let it be simple. A doorway, a threshold, a place between the season that formed you and the season that will require you to carry what was formed. In your hand, imagine a sealed offer, but you are not clutching it in desperation. You are not waving it in front of doubters. You are not using it to prove your worth. You are simply holding it with peace. Behind you are old voices. Some voices say, you are not ready. Some voices say, you waited too long. Some voices say, you need to show them. Some voices say, take anything before it disappears. Some voices say, remember how they doubted you. But in front of you is the door. And above all the voices, there is a deeper knowing. Let that knowing speak. Not loudly, clearly. Say inside yourself, I will not let fear open the door. I will not let pride open the door. I will not let rejection open the door. I will not let desperation open the door. I will let peace open what belongs to me. Let that sentence settle inside you. I will let peace open what belongs to me. Now imagine the old voices losing their volume, not because they never existed, not because they never hurt, but because they no longer have authority. The door does not open because you panic. The door does not open because you prove. The door does not open because doubters finally approve. The door opens when alignment gives permission. And if the door is yours, peace will remain. If the offer is yours, wisdom will stand beside it. If the timing is right, your spirit will not need to become frantic to receive it. If the door is not yours, you will have the strength to let it pass without calling yourself rejected. That is freedom. That is the healed posture. That is the formed version. And I hear this as a final sealing over your spirit. You were not forgotten in the hidden place. You were not abandoned in the delay. You were not disqualified by their doubt. You were not erased by their silence. You were not buried to disappear. You were planted to become rooted. The offer may come, but it will not be your source. The door may open, but it will not be your identity. The recognition may arrive, but it will not be your foundation. The people who doubted you may be shocked, but their shock will not be your reward. Your reward is deeper. Your reward is peace after pressure. Your reward is clarity after confusion. Your reward is identity after rejection. Your reward is discernment after disappointment. Your reward is a heart that can receive without needing revenge. Your reward is becoming someone who can carry what your old self only prayed for. So when the offer comes, receive slowly. Test it with peace. Measure it by alignment. Watch its fruit. Guard your gate. Clear the table. Keep your motives clean. Let your yes be honest. Let your no be holy. Let your silence protect what is still forming. Let your gratitude rise without becoming attachment. Let your excitement breathe without becoming haste. Let your confidence stand without becoming pride. Let your humility bow without becoming hiding. And when people who doubted you begin to notice, let them notice. You do not need to make them notice. You do not need to force the moment. You do not need to explain the whole journey. You do not need to hand them a map of the wilderness. The fruit will speak. The peace will speak. The door will speak. The formed version of you will speak without needing to shout. If this message met you in the right season, write these words in the comments. I receive with peace. Not because a comment controls your future, not because words alone replace action, but because sometimes the spirit needs a simple line of agreement, a quiet marker, a declaration that says, I will not receive from panic anymore. I will not receive from pride anymore. I will not receive from rejection anymore. I will receive with peace. And if you feel led to explore the 7-minute audio tool mentioned earlier, the official link is in the description and pinned comment. Investigate it with discernment. Let peace guide you. It is there for those who feel called to support their clarity in this season. But whether you explore that tool or not, do not miss the deeper message. The greatest offer is not just what comes to your hands. The greatest offer is the invitation to become the person who can carry it without losing yourself. The greatest offer is the chance to walk into a new door without dragging the old wound into the room. The greatest offer is the freedom to stop making your life a response to people who doubted you. The greatest offer is peace, and peace is how you will know what belongs. So be still inside. Let what is false fall away. Let what is aligned come near. Let what is not yours pass without panic. Let what is yours arrive without you begging. Let the formed version of you stand at the threshold. You are not the same person they doubted. You are not the same person who cried for approval. You are not the same person who would have taken any offer just to feel chosen. You are not the same person who believed silence meant abandonment. You are not the same person who thought a closed door meant the story was over. You have been shaped. You have been strengthened. You have been refined. You have been taught. You have been prepared. And when the offer comes, you will not chase it like someone empty. You will discern it like someone rooted. You will not worship it like someone desperate. You will carry it like someone entrusted. You will not use it to punish those who doubted you. You will use it to build what you were called to build. And that is why this season is different. Because the offer may shock them, but your peace will shock them more. Your restraint will shock them more. Your clarity will shock them more. Your clean heart will shock them more. Your refusal to become bitter will shock them more. Your ability to walk through the right door without turning back to beg for applause will shock them more. They are about to realize they were not watching your ending. They were watching your preparation. They were watching the soil before the seed broke open. They were watching the foundation before the height appeared. They were watching the silence before the voice became steady. They were watching the wilderness before the assignment became visible. And now, as the next door begins to move, remember this. You do not need revenge. You need readiness. You do not need applause. You need alignment. You do not need everyone to understand. You need peace. You do not need to prove you were chosen. You need to walk like someone who knows. So receive with peace. Discern with clarity. Move with humility. Stand with courage. And when the offer comes,